Brazil's top court has sentenced former President Jair Bolsonaro to 27 years in prison for attempting a coup after his 2022 election defeat. While he remains under house arrest with the option to appeal, the verdict has triggered protests and deepened divisions in Brazilian society. In a landmark decision, a panel of Brazilian Supreme Court justices has sentenced former President Jair Bolsonaro to 27 years and 3 months in prison after finding him guilty of attempting a coup to remain in power despite his 2022 election defeat. Bolsonaro, who strongly denies any wrongdoing, is currently under house arrest in Brasilia. 4 of the 5 justices on the panel voted to convict the far-right leader on 5 counts. The decision makes Bolsonaro the first former Brazilian president to be convicted of attempting a coup. The ruling has triggered heated political debates in Brazil and drawn global reactions. However, Bolsonaro has the right to appeal the ruling. Reacting to the conviction, U.S. President Donald Trump expressed displeasure, saying he was very unhappy with the court's decision. Calling Bolsonaro an outstanding leader, Trump added that the ruling was very bad for Brazil. His comments linked the case with strained U.S.-Brazil relations, especially after he tied a 50% tariff on Brazilian imports to what he called a witch hunt against Bolsonaro. The verdict has left Brazilian society deeply divided. Supporters of Bolsonaro call the trial a case of political persecution and have taken to the streets in protest. On the other hand, critics back the conviction, citing evidence that Bolsonaro orchestrated moves to stay in power after losing to President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. In her judgment, Justice Carmen Lucia said the former president acted as the instigator and leader of an organization that attempted every possible move to seize power. Justice Alexander de Moraes too maintained that Bolsonaro headed a coup plot and a criminal organization. Bolsonaro's son, Senator Flávio Bolsonaro, denounced the conviction on social media, calling it a supreme persecution. Another son, lawmaker Eduardo Bolsonaro, avoided directly mentioning the ruling but instead pushed for amnesty through Congress, saying it was time to do what is correct and just. Former First Lady Michelle Bolsonaro also voiced her support, writing on social media that God in heaven loves justice and hates iniquity. Prosecutors accused Bolsonaro of multiple offenses including attempting a coup, being part of an armed criminal organization, and trying to abolish democratic rule of law through violent means. The court was presented with videos of Bolsonaro addressing large rallies between 2021 and 2023, urging supporters to defy the Supreme Court. Footage of the January 8, 2023, riots that damaged the court's headquarters was also shown. President Lula, speaking ahead of the trial, strongly criticized Bolsonaro, stating, "He attempted a coup in this country, and there are hundreds of pieces of evidence." With inputs from AP also read Trump imposes 50% tariff on Brazil after targeting 7 countries, calls Bolsonaro's